And first with breaking news in the case of those two missing eastern Iowa girls.
Let's get right to Eric Hansen now with new information. Eric.
Yes, and Kevin, this has all been unfolding within the last half hour or so. Deputies now say a hunter found two bodies this afternoon over the lunch hour. And while investigators cannot positively identify them yet as the cousins who have been missing since July, they do say that this is not the outcome they wanted in this case.
Just the thought of having your sister not here when you wake up is just terrifying.
She was only 4 years old the day her sister Elizabeth and cousin Lyric disappeared, but Callie Collins remembers everything, even asking her sister to go on that bike ride.
And I said, "But can I go?" And she said, "No, because Grandma's not going to come with."
Elizabeth and Lyric never came home from that summer afternoon bike ride. They were last seen riding near Myers Lake in Evansdale.
I don't think there's ever going to be a day in my life that I don't think about it constantly and wonder where she'd be or what she'd be doing.
The 13th of July 2012 was a warm, sunny day in Evansdale, Iowa. So Lyric Cook and her cousin Elizabeth Collins, who were together at their grandmother's house, decided that they would go for a bike ride together. They set off at around 12:15, with the expectation being that they would stick to the streets close by and return a short while later. That was the last time they were seen alive by any of their family. 10-year-old Lyric Cook was born on the 2nd of October 2001 to parents Dan and Misty Morrissey. Due to her parents' ongoing issues with drugs and criminal matters, she had been mostly raised by her grandmother Wilma, whilst also spending a great deal of time staying with Aunt. 8-year-old Elizabeth Collins was born on July 31st, 2003 to parents Drew and Heather Collins. Since Heather was an older sister of Lyric's mother Misty, Elizabeth and Lyric had spent a great deal of time together throughout their young lives. Lyric had spent time living in the Collins household, and the girls were more like sisters than cousins. According to Heather, the girls would fight like sisters, but the rest of the time, despite the almost 2 years difference in their ages, they would do everything together. Lyric and Elizabeth were both energetic girls who participated in a range of sports and physical activities, and who loved spending time outdoors, so time spent outside together riding their bikes was an activity that they very much enjoyed. The girls were only allowed to ride their bikes close to home. So, on the day that they went missing, as time went on and they had not returned from their ride, family members began to become somewhat alarmed. And after searching the nearby streets for 45 minutes, with no sign of the girls, they contacted the local PD to report that the girls were missing. At around 4 p.m. that same afternoon, searchers found Elizabeth and Lyric's bikes abandoned on a trail at the southeast corner of Lake Myers. More disturbingly, Elizabeth's purse was found thrown into bushes at the same location. Whilst the discovery of the bikes and purse, with no sign of the girls at all, suggested the possibility of an abduction, with no initial witness sightings of a vehicle or an abductor, rules at that time meant that an Amber Alert could not be issued. Scent dogs were brought in and, according to Lyric's mother Misty, traced the girls to the edge of the lake. The girls' families were certain that the girls would not have gone into the lake and were strong enough swimmers to get themselves back out should something have occurred. However, authorities decided that they would partially drain the lake to allow for FBI divers to do a thorough search. This strategy was a dead end. The girls were not found in the lake, and it appeared that the trail had gone cold. Witnesses came forward with sightings of Lyric and Elizabeth from before they disappeared. One sighting placed them on Gilbert Drive between 12:30 and 1 p.m, a location which was not far from Myers Lake. Yet, from the time of this sighting onwards, there seemed to have been no further sightings or information for authorities to run with. The girls had simply vanished. It was 5 months later, on the morning of December 5th, that hunters in the Seven Bridges wildlife area found the remains of Lyric and Elizabeth. This was a secluded location, roughly 25 miles from Evansdale. It was not well known and was little used other than by hunters and drug addicts. So it was speculated by authorities that the offender was someone who was familiar with the area. Authorities have released no information with regards to cause or manner of death of the cousins, nor have they released any information on the crime scene. In the years since the girls were found, 2 individuals have come forward on separate occasions claiming responsibility, but when questioned by authorities, they were unable to give any details that could link them to the crime. On June 24th of 2013, almost a year after the girls' disappearance, authorities announced that 3 separate witnesses had come forward saying that they had seen a white, older model full-size SUV-type vehicle, similar to a Chevy Suburban or Ford Bronco, on the day that Lyric and Elizabeth went missing. The vehicle had been seen on a street that meets with the bike trail near where the girls' bikes were found. 2 of the witnesses claimed to have seen it parked between 2 bike trail signs, while others said that they saw this vehicle near the woods on the east side of the lake, only a few hundred yards from where the bikes were found. The time frame given by all witnesses of between 11:30 and 12:30 fits with the time frame of the disappearance, so that it is quite possible that these witnesses actually did see the vehicle of the person who was responsible for the abduction and subsequent deaths of the girls. Over the years, there have been a number of persons of interest named. However, each one has been subsequently cleared of any connection to the case. 2 significant suspects were Michael Klunder, who was responsible for a double abduction a year after the disappearance of Lyric and Elizabeth, and had also been responsible for the death of one of the girls who he had abducted, and Jeff Altmaier, a travelling auto damage field inspector who had been jailed for trying to entice children into his car by offering them $100 to do so. Since the deaths of Libby German and Abby Williams in 2017, there has been a great deal of speculation as to whether or not the 2 crimes were connected. Double abductions are somewhat uncommon, and people have cited numerous similarities. Both abductions occurred whilst the children were out on trails and occurred in areas that were somewhat isolated. Both pairs of girls were discovered in areas where there were natural dips in the ground, so that they could not be seen from nearby paths or roads, and in wooded areas which were popular locations for deer hunting. While nothing is known about the Evansdale crime scene, people have speculated over the possibility of similarities in the crime scenes. At the time that Richard Allen was arrested, officials in Evansdale did comment that they had eyes on him. However, it appears that since then no connection has been made. One significant difference between the 2 cases is the fact that Lyric and Elizabeth were taken a significant distance away from the location of their abduction prior to their deaths. There is, of course, also the difference in ages, with Lyric and Elizabeth being 8 and 10, while Libby and Abby were 13 and 14. Another theory which has, however, been discounted by authorities was that since the Seven Bridges area was known as a popular hangout for druggies, that there may have been a connection with Lyric's parents, Misty and Dan, with some people going as far as to suggest that what happened to the girls could have occurred due to a drug debt by either Misty or Dan. There has, however, never been any evidence to suggest that this could be the case. The case has, of course, had a significant impact on the families of both girls. Siblings who've had to grow up way too fast. Heather and Drew's marriage was destroyed, and sisters Heather and Misty have become estranged. In 2013, the trail around the lake where the girls went missing was renamed the Trail of Angels, whilst the park next to the lake was named Angels Park. A statue commemorating the girls was placed in the park, and over the years, the park has been transformed into a haven for families whose children were lost too soon, with numerous gazebos, each dedicated to a lost child, and beautiful gardens surrounding the area. The case remains open and active, and Elizabeth's father Drew has been extremely active in working on keeping the case in the public eye. Heather has helped organise community events commemorating not just the 2 girls, but also other victims from the area, and regularly gives up her own time to provide support and assistance to other families who have experienced similar situations. Despite the passage of time, authorities have remained confident in their ability to solve this case, as have the families of the girls. As pointed out by Drew Collins, with continual advances in forensic science, time is on their side.
Our focus was also on getting Elizabeth and Lyric back, like having them here. So it was hard. It was really hard when they were missing, you know. We would have like a vigil every 13th of the month, and I just remember our last vigil, we had gone around to like Iowa City and stuff, handing out flyers of the girls, you know. And we got back, and we got to the church here in town, and I remember just being tired. Like, I couldn't believe how tired I was. And I was just like, Lord, I am just done. Please help us. Like, we're just done. Like, this is just so tiring. Every day trying to find her and her cousin. Like, it was so exhausting. I just remember just being so tired that day. I don't think I've ever been that tired in my life. And then December 5th came in, their bodies were found. You know? Another beyond devastating day. You know, to have to tell her siblings that their sister and niece were no longer going to be coming home, that they were up in heaven with Jesus.
And that's what haunts Drew Collins, who shared the final voicemail he would ever receive from his daughter, Elizabeth.
Hey, Daddy, I miss you. Bye, I love you.
It's really hard for me to listen to that because you have little bits and pieces of your kid left, and that's just a little bit that we have.
Hey, Daddy, I miss you. Bye, I love you.
We don't get to see her. I don't get to hug her. I don't get to kiss her. I don't get to see what she's at in her life, and so it's kind of a bittersweet message.